What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome on in to the Brass Ring Media Podcast for Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. Pumped to be here. Glad you guys are here with us. I'm Zach Haydorn, one of your hosts. That is Tyler Sage, your other host, or that, I should say, is Tyler Sage, your other host. Tyler, congratulations. Big Buckeye win, man.
Yeah, huge. Thank you. Third one I've gotten to see.
Third one?
Yeah.
Okay.
A win, right? I mean, they've been in other ones that they've lost, but the third
Yeah.
title that I've been able to see them. It was 68, then 2002, so a big jump. I'm not quite old enough to see the 68 one, so but
so they had a gap from 1968 to 2002.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, I mean,
it just doesn't seem.
They're always pretty good, but I mean, it's not Ohio State chatter hour, but
on for today, we can get away with it today.
Yeah, I mean, Earl Bruce and then John Cooper were the coaches in the 80s and 90s. And they were notorious for having good talent, but not having 2 losses every year. Okay. So especially back in the day, John Cooper lost to Michigan. I think he was 2-13 or something in his tenure. So you couldn't go to the Rose Bowl if you lost to Michigan because then they basically won. So when it was basically you win the Big Ten, you go to the Rose Bowl and you play the winner of the Pac-10 at the time. Yeah. And then if you were undefeated, then you won that, then you'd probably get voted to be the national champion, right? Because it was very antiquated, and all the other stuff. So
crazy stuff, man. But it was a fun game. It was a fun game, and we'll see. We'll see what if they can hold down the fort next year. But fun stuff. We are here to talk wrestling in addition to Ohio State football. So for a little bit of the night, and we got a lot to get to, man. I mean, it's crazy that we've got Saturday night's main event coming up. We then have the Royal Rumble next weekend, and then we're on the track to WrestleMania. So it's a wild time. I feel like this is actually going to be a little bit of a slower show compared to what's coming, and so maybe that's a good thing. But I want to start with, and we're going to get to I think a mixed array of topics tonight, folks, because there's just been some news, that I definitely want to make sure we get on while it's still somewhat fresh. So we may break our rule of being WWE exclusive tonight, as opposed to, and then just mixing in some topics. So it'll be a smorgasbord. But of course, if you want to get in on the conversation, our live chat's open. We've got Mike in there. CB is in there with a question that we're going to get to. E is in there with a question. Mike says, hope you both are staying warm. Trying to, man. It's tough. It's cold.
It's cold everywhere though too. So
yeah, right. We're not the only ones. So we got a lot to get to, but let's start. I want to start with Netflix. Netflix today came out with some numbers and rumors of a price increase on their subscribers. And normally, we wouldn't talk about this on a pro wrestling podcast, but seeing as it is Netflix that is a key driver in WWE revenues for the next, I don't know how many years. It is something that I definitely wanted to touch on. So they, in a shareholder letter that went out today, Netflix revealed, and this is per Forbes, by the way, Netflix ended 2024 with 302 million paid subscribers. And that's up from 269.6 million from first quarter of last year. Revenues grew 16%, and their operating income exceeded $10 billion for the very first time ever. So what does this mean? Netflix says it's going to adjust their prices. The ad-supported tier will go up $1, $6.99 to $7.99. Standard tier is going up $15.49 to $17.99, and then the premium tier is going to increase $2 to $22.99 to $24.99. So they haven't had a price increase since October of 2023. So, of course, there's a lot that goes into this. They had the Logan Paul Mike Tyson fight this year in November. They had NFL games on Christmas Day, which I would surmise is a very big reason for some of the increase. and then they dabbled even further into live entertainment with WWE that kicked off this year. So I say all this, Tyler, to ask is, does this mean anything for WWE, or it's just, hey, like Netflix is going to get their dollar and WWE is now a piece of that bigger puzzle that bigger game that Netflix is going to play with its subscribers to make sure that they're making money?
Yeah. First of all, what's the difference between the middle tier and the premium tier?
You know what? That's a good question. I have no idea.
Because I don't even know, like when you said that, I don't know which one I even have. Well, I don't watch ads.
I'm pretty sure that I have the middle tier
okay.
But I can't confirm that. And we don't need to get this into like a breaking down our Netflix subscriptions. But yesterday, like for the first 2 weeks, I watched Netflix Raw straight up live. So like I had it on, and then when it went live, it went live. Yesterday, I had to like jump in late, and so I went in and then started it from the beginning. And my experience was different last week to this week. Like last week, I had commercials. This week, because I was on delay, it took the commercials out, so I had no commercials. So it was a very bizarre environment. But I say that all. I don't know what subscription I have.
You had the outside the U.S. Viewing experience, right?
Where, I think
like
so.
People in the UK, they don't have ads. They just get like quiet matches, no commentators and like the action in the ring sort of thing.
I think so.
Yeah. And I think Mike's right here in the chat. Like, I think premium's like more people can like log into the account, or you can have like more profiles or whatever. So that makes more sense.
Okay, that makes sense. Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, for WWE, I think they'll probably in the office they'll weirdly spin it like, yeah, they got to increase the prices. They got to pay for us. Hell yeah. So I don't think it really affects. For me, I'm gonna still have it at this price point. It's definitely, there is a breaking point at some point for all these streamers, right? There's like one that just got announced that was like basically ESPN and Turner and CBS. I think it was everything but CBS. Like, so you watch all the basic sports that you would have with cable, and it was like $50 a month. And it was like, damn, we're just like making. I mean, if someone came out and was like, hey, we've got everything and it's $125 a month, people would be like, oh, that's great. And that was just cable,
Yeah. And then you're back. You're back
so,
again.
It's funny how things come around. But so yeah, I mean, I don't think this affects WWE in any way, really, and people viewing it and whatnot. Because you still do the ad supported, and if you watch WWE, I don't think that experience is any different, like with the live programming, right? It's like YouTube, right? People watching on YouTube, you might watch an ad if this is live, but only when you watch it not live are you watching ads, even if you don't have the paid thing. So I think that even less of an issue for WWE.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, like I think this is. I don't think it's really gonna. I mean, yes, you'll probably lose some folks, but you'll gain them back along the way. And oh my goodness,
that's for Sean. That's the not even the real feel. It's just your 1 degree there. So
that's cool, man. That is cool. I wonder what it is here. I don't have my phone nearby, but
yeah,
I don't think we're too far behind you. Honestly, I really don't.
You're probably pretty close.
Oh, it's so brutal. Yeah, I think the bigger thing that stands out to me on this is like they don't. First of all, Netflix doesn't report numbers all the time, but 303 million subscribers. Like that's just a huge number. And if I'm WWE, that's what I'm celebrating. Like I'm going, man, we hit the jackpot on this. We're partnered with one of the biggest streamers in the world, and now we've got the numbers to prove it. What's interesting is or what I just found hilarious is that the shareholder letter, and again, this is per Forbes, said its Q4 lineup exceeded expectations, specifically citing, now this is Q4, and WWE did not start with them until Q1 of this year. So we have to keep that in mind. But I still think it's funny. Exceeded expectations, specifically citing Squid Game Season 2, which said it is on track to become Netflix's most watched original series, and its entrance into sports and live events, naming the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight and the 2 Christmas Day games as and they call the Christmas Day games the most streamed NFL games in history. So what I just found funny is Netflix does not mention their WWE being their dance partner, even though, again, it's Q4 to Q1. I get that, but it'd be a nice time to like maybe, put out a little marketing for WWE, but they did not. They in fact did not do that. So nothing huge here, but worth talking about. And again, what hit me, man, was just like, whoa, like we're not playing ball with like 1.5 million people who are going to watch on USA Network for Raw. Like this is like it's a huge number, a huge potential number. So it stood out.
It's in the hundreds of millions of subscribers worldwide. So it's like a nation state, a large nation state of potential viewers.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. Let me hit the chat here for a little bit, and CB, I will get to your question. Don't fret. First of all, our premier Wrestling Media member, Sean, says here, all right, Tyler, give it up to you, my friend. Congrats on Ohio State winning it all. At least my Irish fought back. Yeah. How nervous did you get there at the end? Were you sweating? I couldn't tell like how close Notre Dame was to coming back.
Yeah. As soon as he kicked that field goal and they were down 16, I was not worried, even if they got it, because that was like, I think their EV, like, so the expected chance of victory, right? Expected victory. It was like 2% if you go for it on 4th down there, and 3% if you kick the field goal. And like what I always do is like I always look and see what the live odds are on a betting app.
Yeah, and
that makes me feel better. Like the whole basically since they went up like multiple scores, it was like minus 5,000, which is basically like so much in the bag you don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's like it's a miracle if it happens.
Yeah, so I mean, stranger things have happened for sure, but I felt fine that they couldn't pass as effectively as they needed to. So, but it was, I mean, like for like, this is not like a slight at Notre Dame, but like probably like the 3rd most talented team Ohio State played in the playoff, but like the most like heart and well coached of all the teams for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. Thank you, Sean, and thank you for your gold level membership. We'll also go to our gold member here. Andrew H says, unless they become competitive with a Sling, Hulu, and YouTube, they're going to price themselves out of the market. Yeah, I mean, like you said, Tyler, that's always it's always potential for that. I mean, there's always like there is a breaking point for that. I don't think they're going to get there with this because I don't, but if they do this 3 more times between now and 5 years, then people might. Remember when it was $10 a month?
Which they certainly will.
Which they certainly will. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and thank you, Andrew, for your membership. Appreciate you very much. So yeah, not a huge story, but worth tracking, just like we would, ratings and whatnot. So interesting story. All right, let's take care of a little bit of business here, guys. Let's introduce the show. This is the Brass Ring Media Podcast. We're live right here on the One True Sport YouTube channel every single Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesday is our evening show. Thursday is our late night show. We may change that up a little bit for the next couple of weeks, just as we figure out some new schedules, but we'll definitely let you know. 2 shows a week though, with Tyler and myself. If you're listening and watching on YouTube, hello. If you're on Twitter watching there, hello. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. You can find more of Brass Ring Media's stuff on Patreon. Just search for us on Patreon or head to patreon.com/Brass Ring Media. That's where our hub is for all of our members and our gold members. As members, you get a member-only podcast once a week. You get all of our pay-per-view and PLE review shows when we drop those for AEW and for WWE and other major shows that happen. You get access to our Discord community as members and so much more. So head over there, give us a shot. Our regular membership is $4 a month. That's it, $4 a month. We also have that gold tier, which gets you free super chats throughout all of Brass Ring Media's live shows. So pretty cool deal there. Really gives you a chance to get in the mix and interact on the show. So once again, that's patreon.com/Brass Ring Media. We also have a YouTube channel, which we hope you subscribe to, and a Substack newsletter where we have all of our written work all throughout the week, every day. I just put my Raw column up that just dropped, and so much other stuff there from Tyler, myself, and others that you can dig into and spend hours reading just current event based stuff and analysis on professional wrestling. As for today, everybody seems to be you all know the drill already on the live chat. You guys have dove right in, having a really fun conversation. I mean, weather, Notre Dame, Netflix, streaming. I mean, we're solving the world's problems in this live chat right now. So thank you so much for being here. The super chat is open as well. So if you're able to take some time and drop us a question or a comment or a topic, and you can do that with a super chat contribution. That is kind of the lifeblood of Brass Ring Media, lives in those super chats. So we hope that you do, and we appreciate you in advance. If you can do that, we'll read all super chats here before we get off the air today. Cool. Thank you. All right. So I was watching Raw last night, and we'll get into like kind of a broader Raw review as we go. Definitely some segments I want to talk about. Definitely some segments I want to hear from the live chat about. But when I'm watching Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins in the main event, and I'm watching them go back to Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax, for a title feud for Rhea Ripley, and they're still doing the Gunther Jey Uso thing. Feels like we've been in all of those places, and all of those places were like the key parts, kind of the key hooks of the show last night, minus one. And even that one, Sami versus Kevin Owens, like good segment, but not a new feud by any means. And it just got me thinking, like with Saturday night's main event looming, Royal Rumble looming after that, you got Raw, you got SmackDown. Like we talk about a breaking point with Netflix. Does WWE have to be careful about a breaking point for them too, where maybe you don't put Braun Breaker and Sheamus for the Intercontinental Championship on Saturday night's main event, if maybe that's on Raw, if you don't have Saturday night's main event? Like how much, it just got me thinking, and I thought it was a good topic to bring up. Like how thin can WWE stretch itself with adding? So you've got NBC and you've got Netflix and you've got the speed stuff, and you've got all these masters that you have to serve as far as being like a content provider. But at the same time, you're booking wrestling shows for fans. You need the fans to be interested in order to stay hot. Are they burning a little too hot here, or are they okay, or do they not care and it doesn't matter and we're going to eat what we're fed? Like what camp are you in?
Yeah, I'm in the, canary in the coal mine camp of like, they're definitely overextending themselves, especially this time of year, right? Like do you know what it is off the top of your head, or anyone in the chat? Is it like 8 of these a year, or is it 4?
It's 4. It's 4.
It's 4. Okay. 4. So yeah, it just feels like the last one was very near to this one.
Yeah, well, because it was like that. They did one like late fourth quarter, and now they're doing one early first. So I don't know if it'll be like that forever, but it does. Yeah, feels that way though. Yeah.
Yeah. So not as bad when it's that way, especially just that this is a busy time of year. To say it certainly doesn't need to be battle of the belts for AEW. That's like the worst example of this like specialty thing, and that AEW also didn't care about it at all. So, but yeah, I mean, certainly everything that's going on Saturday night would have been on Raw and would be on this Friday SmackDown, right?
Yeah.
And that would help both those shows tremendously. And like, is anyone particularly excited for Saturday night's main event? Like, I'm most excited for the contract signing segment, which is not a match.
Which would also be on SmackDown. Like,
yeah. And that's like also not like really selling the show very heavily, in my opinion, that, Shawn Michaels replacing Hulk Hogan. Even though if it was Hulk Hogan, I'd be much more locked in to watch it, because I just could not wait to see that disaster happen. Yeah. But so I would say this is a yellow light on like if you're doing like the corporate stop, start, continue sort of thing. it would be like, hey, we need to really look at this in 26 or however long when this deal ends. But, I don't think it's like the death knell of the company. I know you're not saying that either.
Yeah,
it just
no, right.
is
I'm
like,
not saying that, but yeah.
It's like, for the viewer who's not watching 20 hours of WWE content a week, it's like, okay, am I going to watch Raw and SmackDown, or am I going to watch this Saturday night's main event thing? So I don't know what WWE wants you to do. Obviously, they want you to watch all three, but I don't think that's reasonable going forward on weeks like this.
And the other, well, here, let me get to some super chats first, and then I'll talk about my point. Sean says here, it is a lot of content for sure, and it can get to be too much, but I pick and choose what I watch. Yeah, exactly. And that's going to be, and I don't want to speak for you, Sean, but I think that it seems to me that you'd be on the higher end of folks who are going to watch more wrestling than the average person. That's me. That's Tyler. That seems like Sean. That's you. Maybe it's not, but that's what it seems like. So, if you're picking and choosing, imagine what, average fan X is doing. Maybe one show a week, maybe, and maybe, and like where I land on this is that maybe that is what WWE wants. Like they want a piece of the pie every week from their fans, and then if they get more, great. But like they're not trying to like secure somebody watching 8 hours of programming per week. Maybe even in their models, like that's unreasonable. But where I get hung up is like it's like they're on such a hot streak right now. Like their talent is over. They're aligned properly, heel and babyface for the most part. Like there's no big glaring issues on that front. And for the most part, I think they're booking shows, even though, all right, do you really have to watch Saturday Night's Main Event? No, but like it won't be a bad show if you turn it on. Like if you turn it on, you're going to get some good matches. You're going to get a decent segment, right? How long can that go? How long can you consistently put on that many hours of like decent to good television? Like at some point, like even if the audience bubble doesn't pop, like that bubble will pop, which will then lead to the audience bubble popping. And I think like that's more what I look at. I'm going, all right, well, they've got a decent Raw this week. They've got a decent SmackDown this week. They have Saturday's Main Event. That's built okay. NXT is there. It is what it is. Then the Royal Rumble's coming. And then Raw's right after. Like, it's just like a lot of like swings at the ball where you've got to hit like, doubles are better. And I just wonder like when that slump comes and what that's going to mean for all this content that they need to produce.
Yeah. It's like, it also when your rights deals are your main source of revenue, it's they're like totally extended as far as they can on content, I think, at least right now. Right.
Yeah.
Like, cause they own, they have Monday, Tuesday, Friday, most Saturdays, right? And as an enterprise, TKO has probably every Saturday has something going on, right?
Yeah.
It'd be a fight night, UFC pay-per-view, some bull riding, what have you. So, like just from like think 5 years from now, revenue perspective, there's probably lots of ways we can't even envision right now that they can make money, right? You can pay to watch, $30 a month of sit VR at the guy with the smiley face shirt from his seat, and watch it through your Oculus, right? And people will pay that.
That's coming. Yeah.
Yeah. But, beyond that, it's like the way to make more money is more like Saudi type deals, right? To like sell your event. They've already doing that. Like Indianapolis paid a bunch of money to guarantee Rumbles and WrestleManias in the future.
Yeah.
So it's just going to, which stinks, but content wise anymore. And I think we're like definitely at like a DEFCON 2 situation of like, okay, we're over leveraged. And, I guess, they don't own TNA, but Thursday you can see WWE talent every night of the week except for Wednesday right now.
Yeah.
Current WWE talent, I should say.
And that doesn't even account for, and they haven't done as much of these anymore. And I wonder if that's, a tactical strategy or they'll wait until post Royal Rumble on the road to WrestleMania to drop these. But like Peacock specials on whatever, Cody Rhodes documentary or, the biography series, like the shows we're talking about now don't even account for that other stuff that fans may want to spend time watching. So yeah, I had this thing. I was like, God dang, they're building two big shows back to back. And it took me to the days of like when Crown Jewel was like a separate thing and like the Undertaker and Kane were teaming up. And it's like, wait, what universe are we in now? Like, and it kind of felt like that a little bit on Raw, but it wasn't bad. Like, I didn't think it was awful. Like I did back in the day. Andrew says here in our live chat, how many zeros fit in that bank account? That's the answer. Yeah, you're probably right on that, Andrew. You're probably right on that one. Although they won't say it that way, but I don't know. Hard to argue with that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sean in here going, the show will be good match-wise, but we don't need Sheamus and Braun again. Braun needs to go over strong. So yeah, we're going to preview Saturday night's main event later this week on our other show. So you guys, everybody can stand by on that. Hopefully it'll either be Thursday or Friday this week, right here on the Brasherie Media Podcast. I don't disagree with you, Sean, but I'll save it's a tease for the next show. All right, so let's get into some Raw talk here. Hello to Eddie who just joined us. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And that is the gift that keeps on giving in WWE. It's like when you need a segment out of them and you need it to take up time, number one, be interesting, number two, and further a couple storylines, number three, you can put those guys out there and 9 times out of 10, they're going to deliver. What did you think of their interaction last night? And what, do you think is it foreshadowing anything to come for both of them at WrestleMania or at the Royal Rumble?
Say the names again. I missed
Kevin Owens and Sami.
Okay, Sami. Okay, that's what I figured. Yeah. But I'm sure it's like maybe he's really in this Jay and Gunther.
No.
Yeah. No. I mean, a lot going on here, right? I think like a lot of good character work, and like this is a good example of like more of what I'd like to see in AEW is like what these two have as an interaction, where they are. It's like threading that needle perfectly. Of you like, the history between these two, and if you don't, you kind of get it through context clues of the conversation, right? That they screwed each other over, they've been friends, they've been enemies, and all that stuff, right? So I think it's like a good generalization of what you want for like, hey, we had stuff in the past, maybe at other places, but now this is important to us, right? This would have been good for like Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly instead of just like mean mugging each other, and then O'Reilly just coming and helping him, right? It was like the two polar opposites of
but okay.
But this is the first time I was like, man, like I checked the odds after watching this for Sami to win the Rumble, because like everybody is talking about Sami winning the Rumble on this show. Kevin, Sami himself, CM Punk. I mean, in a disparaging way, Seth Rollins, like a lot of people, and it like I don't think it's going to happen, especially based on that crowd reaction. If you're Triple H, I don't think it's the time to do it, but because the crowd was like, okay, whatever, like and Sami had like the most perfect babyface promo, but so yeah, all this was good, and it makes the match itself just more compelling, right? Because there's more than just a few people that can win this thing, and you can see like, hey, who's going to come in here, and is Sami gonna toss Seth out to win? What's Kevin gonna do, right? It makes you think like, oh, would Sami come out in the middle of the Cody and KO match and do something, and then like Cody's in the Rumble? Like all that ran through my head for the first time of like, ooh, there's a lot of like tomfoolery we can get involved here. Besides just popping up and having Sami be an important figure in the company. So yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah, Sean says here, it was an interesting promo. I like that they brought up their history. At least makes you think about their scenario, even though it won't happen. Yeah, like that's what I continue to like about the build to this year's Men's Royal Rumble. And they've completely abandoned this approach on the Women's Royal Rumble, which I don't really understand. But for the Men's Royal Rumble, this is just another story that they can tell in the match and before the match about Sami Zayn. Not only is Sami Zayn in it to win it, but they've laid the foundation for a match with Kevin Owens. they've given it that they've given his chase, some context, and then like just the delivery. I was floored by the delivery because I really thought that that Sami, like as Kevin Owens is telling him like, hey man, like, and if you want to face me at WrestleMania for the title, like that's what needs to happen, which means I need to win the WWE title, and you should help me do that, buddy. And it's like he's like the ultimate gaslighter in that moment, and I loved, and I totally geeked out over Sami, like how he sold that line, because it's like he sold it enough where like the audience was able to kind of tap into what he was thinking and go, okay, like Sami sees what Kevin Owens is doing here, and he's acknowledging it and kind of nodding along, but really like he's selling it in a way that he doesn't buy it. And then there's Kevin Owens on the other side, who's so self-absorbed with his own, like goals and own purposes out there, that he doesn't see that Sami is BSing him. And I just thought like, man, you need like special kind of chemistry to be able to pull that off, like in a WWE pro wrestling ring. And they did. And I was just like, man, that's good. That's good stuff. Like that's really good stuff from two pros.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and Owens is making it available for him emotionally to be mad at Sami for not just totally being a POS and helping him win for no reason, right?
Yeah.
And all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, like you saw the gaslighting of like, oh, I understand why you helped Roman, so you'll help me for the same reasons. Like, oh, exactly. That's great, right? Yeah. And it also like is like, just like Drew, who's also an interesting character. Like Kevin's kind of right, as Drew is pretty much right on everything he's talking to Seth about. Like basically, you got to kind of be a bad guy if you want to get ahead in this business. Yeah, and that's usually the case. So interesting.
And it's like, there's like a backstory for like a reason why Kevin Owens would think that would make sense to Sami Zayn. Like that's all been in place. So it's not just like some random thing out of left field that Kevin Owens tries to like, put into the story now. Like, no, it makes sense because like they've had those breadcrumbs that are out there for years now. So
yeah, it's not Gunther telling him this for some reason, right?
Right. Exactly. Yes, exactly. Sean says here, KO is just so good as a heel. Wish he would have stayed heel for a longer time before turning babyface. Looking back on it, yeah, I don't know. I mean, yes, he's so good as a heel. He's a good babyface too, man. I mean, he's better as a heel, I think, but like, I don't know that I would trade that Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens WrestleMania main event Uso tag match in for anything. Like, I don't know that you could have captured lightning in a bottle any better than that. And it just was like peak bloodline. I don't know. I think that's just too perfect to go back and undo. But I totally get your point, Sean. Tyler, anything on KO?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's better heel. If you just look at like his best moments, you had one of them. The other ones are obviously like the title run with Jericho as a fun heel.
Yes.
And then I would say him just coming onto the scene in NXT, doing the apron bomb to Sami. Was that night one of him in NXT? If I recall.
First night, yeah.
Yeah. That's when I was actually watching NXT live. Good times. The stuff with Cena too. He was technically a heel, even though, I mean, not really.
Not really, yeah.
That like those moments when he's got the NXT title in wrestling John Cena on pay-per-views. Those are probably the big 3 moments of his career, and Stone Cold, but he's a heel there too. So yeah, I mean, he's got way more upside as a heel character if you just look at his career arc.
Yeah.
And, Sami is even too, if you want to do the case study there, because you have like the peak heel is Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah.
At WrestleMania, and then peak face, obviously, Elimination Chamber in Montreal. And both are pretty high for other reasons. But the serious wrestler, he's a better babyface.
No question. No question. And I don't know that you could like turn Sami heel now. I mean, I just think he's had such a run, and like he's so likable. He's like a perfect babyface. Like I think like you could like he could play a heel like Daniel Bryan tried to, or Bryan Danielson tried to, but in the end, I just fans will play along with you maybe, but I don't think anybody will genuinely hate you. Kevin Owens still has the ability to pull that out of pull that out of an audience. And they're different baby faces too. Is Kevin Owens against Sami Zayn a potential WrestleMania match? Like, did they set the table for that this week?
It is, but I like the way Kevin set it up more than it being, the third match on night one of WrestleMania, right? Which is what it would ultimately be, right? Like, I'd much rather see, Kevin beat Cody and Sami win the Rumble and have that epic storyline happen for somehow, right? Than for them to be just wrestling a feud because, because it's laid out there. So I would hold off if you can actually do it at some point, because of all the guys of this era, right? Like, who are Sami and Kevin, like, historically, right? And that maybe not just the 90s, right? Because we kind of bring everything back to that. But, are they like one of them is like Eddie Guerrero without, passing too early.
Yeah. You mean in terms of like what they their position on the
what they mean too, right? Like, Stone Cold had the title for like 100 days total or something, right? Some crazy small number, right?
Small number.
So like The Rock had way less time in the ring than you would think unless you go back and actually look at it, right? So like guys that are legends that in 20 years are, guys that are appearing, all that stuff. Like, I think these two, like Sami said, and maybe because Sami did say that, but like they are right up there with Roman and Seth and Randy Orton, like those kind of guys, right? Edge, like they're on the level of Edge is, in my mind, like historically.
Yeah.
And they have not really like gotten that treatment in the biggest moment. So I know I didn't really answer your question, but I'd rather them have a big moment together than a medium moment together.
Well, haven't they wrestled at WrestleMania before? Am I crazy? I feel like they've wrestled at WrestleMania 37, maybe. I think they're like in that weird like COVID, like the one with the crowd, but like not really,
The one in Tampa.
Yeah, I want to say I don't know. I'm looking right now because I don't want to lose my mind here trying to figure it out. But I thought like Logan Paul was involved in that match.
I don't know.
Let me see here. This
sounds bad. We can maybe retcon it this year as a result.
No, yes, right. Okay, I'm right. So yeah, Kevin Owens did beat Sami Zayn with Logan Paul. This was when Logan Paul was trying to be a babyface, or no? I don't remember. I don't remember this.
Yeah,
I don't.
Like,
I
Logan Paul was like Logan Paul was like his manager or something.
He was like a celebrity guest guy. He got stunned at the end.
But he's like at ringside.
Yeah, he was like sitting at ringside. This was like his first appearance.
Yeah, well, this sounds horrible. But it's even better
nobody
because
remembers it.
Yeah,
everybody in the chat's like, nope, that did not happen. And no, it really did, guys. Match number 3.
So like, to do it again, if it's not for a title, I just think it's not worth doing. I don't know what either of them are doing either. Sure. So I don't have like a good rebuttal for you if that's not the case.
I view Sami and Kevin like a little bit like almost like a new like the first kind of new breed superstar that WWE leveraged and like leaned on. Seth too. But more so these guys because Seth I think always had an element of being like serious pro wrestler, world champion guy, but
with the traditional look.
Yeah.
When he had the abs and he's like 6'3" and tan, all that stuff.
Yes. And and if he doesn't have that injury, back in whenever that was, I mean, he was on a heck of a run, 2015. Yeah. But Sami and Kevin, like to me, there's like a crop of talent, like him, like those two. I put like Alexa Bliss in that category of like talent that Vince leaned on to just do stuff. Whatever it is that he needed them to do, like do a funny comedy thing, they could do that. Wrestle a serious match, they could do that. Wrestle a garbage ladder match, they could do that. They could do tag teams, they could work with the celebs that came in. Like they were just like jack of all trade kind of guys that got paid really, really well because they could do all sorts of stuff at a time where WWE was doing all sorts of stuff. It's why like you and I the Johnny Knoxville match is catching some catching some scud left hooks in the chat, but I love that match. Like, I love that match. I love it even more after I heard Sami Zayn talking about it. I've been on this train, and it's like that match, you know, it's just a game changer for him. It's a game changer for him in the company. Like, everything that happens after that is because of how great that match was in its own way. And I just think that those two guys are like the first like content-based WWE stars. Just go to them for whatever you need, and Vince would, and they deliver every single time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
That's valuable. You know, that's valuable when you're producing 8 hours of content every week.
And they're always going to deliver.
And they're always going to deliver. Let's see. I know there's some. Well, Zach, yeah, you're barking up the wrong tree if you're talking about the Johnny Knoxville fiasco, because that's a good match. That's a heck of a match. And so I won't have it. Andrew, and I think this is a reasonable opinion, I would like them to find a way for it not to be a match. Can we move on? Look at the talent available. I think that's a reasonable thing. You know, maybe like as a swan song or something, you do it again. Or if this was like the first time they were going to wrestle at WrestleMania, maybe you do that, you do it. But it just happened a few years ago. They just were friends, you know, teaming up a year ago plus. So it seems like a little bit of rush. I'm with you on that.
Unless it's for a world title, I think you don't.
Unless it's yes, correct, and that I just don't think that's. Yeah, I just don't think that's in the cards. Okay. Moving on. CM Punk last night. What did you think of his promo?
The Glam Squad is working hard on CM Punk. I thought that.
What do you mean?
Have you not like you can't? No, I don't want to ruin CM Punk for everybody here, but the color of his skin here is different than here, and way different than it is down here.
Oh no! Now I have to look back. So it's like the Adam Cole stuff.
I mean, he's just got a lot of makeup on. Okay. So he had about as much as I forget her name, the person interviewing him,
Jackie Redmond.
Yeah. So that first there's the Colin Farrell, he's got this like a bad dye job like Colin Farrell does. I don't know if you've seen him recently, but he got like a kind of reddish brown. Okay. It's like, dude, you're 50. Anyway, sorry.
Just be 50, man. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. But yeah, I loved the framing of it, right? The cinematography of where this was, right? Makes the arena look huge, makes them look over as all get out. Like, more of this, please. Especially in WWE. Yeah, like it's not always gonna be like this, right? Sometimes it's gonna be like closer to what AEW is right now. If AEW pulled this, I'd be like, wow, that's ballsy. But take advantage of it. So I like that. Promo itself, it's everything I think this Punk character is. That confuses me why he's so over with every audience. Of like you have that segment of Sami. What was that, like 40 minutes before this? Not even. And he's like, I'm gonna toss out everybody, and Sami Zayn's not on my level. Like, why even take a dig at Sami like that for no reason, right?
Yeah, and the toss out at Sami was weird.
And then wanted to call Hulk Hogan racist, and then he stopped and called him Dusty, which was funny. Like that he stopped there, and then what else? He said something else right there that like, I forget what it was, but he's like going a little crazy. So that's why people like him, right? But he just established like, hey, I'm on the show. I'm not doing anything besides like giving a promo on why you should watch the Royal Rumble. So all of that is good, right? He's a babyface. I can't argue that, and it was a good promo. But do I want him to win? Also, I think he totally signaled he's going to come in at number one. He had a one finger up at the end of the promo, and said he was going to throw out 29 other people. It's impossible to do that unless you're number one.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess not theoretic, like not, I guess, but to me, if anyone watched the Patreon show, I had him as my number one entrant. So feel good about that prediction.
They are playing with fire on that one, man. Like making Punk go an hour in there. Like,
you don't want him to lay under the. I mean, he'll just do a full edge job where he'll just lay there for 55 minutes, and then you'll forget he's there, or he's like outside the ring. That's exactly what's going to happen.
That's what's going to happen. And like, I don't know. I think it's better to have him in there burning hot for like 10 minutes than it is that. But hey,
that's what I read into it. So
no, I think you're spot on. But I like the promo also. I like it for a lot of the reasons Sean likes it. Your Punch promo was fun and fired up, and not just because he crushed Hogan, LOL. Like the energy he's showing right now. Yeah, I think Punk, and I wrote this for in the column today, that I think Punk is like kind of finding that groove a little bit. Like the audience reaction helps, certainly. He's getting big pops, and that's always going to help you. But I also think he's finally like finding like who he is as a pro wrestler in WWE in 2025. Like it was clear when he came back that he wasn't going to be able to pull the, anti-corporate, anti-WWE stuff because he's not that guy anymore. He is emphatically like straight up WWE in every way. So he couldn't pull that off. And I thought like he didn't have it like on the mic. He was trying to like juggle around and trying to find that. And I think like this, while it's not as edgy as Punk used to be, and it's not as cutting edge, it's more just, I'm going to be a straight up baby face. The crowd's behind me, and I'm going to just use that and go until it wears off. And maybe that'll be sooner than later. Maybe it won't. But promos like this, I think, will help him long term.
Yeah, especially like, I'm obviously excited to see the Rumble for many reasons. But, if you have a big four in there, there's a couple combinations you can pick. But he's probably involved in that. And like the crowd always pretty much picks who they want to win, no matter what. And is it him or is it somebody else? I'm very curious to see especially the PLE crowd, a way different crowd than, a Monday Night Raw crowd.
Yeah, like, I mean, John Cena, Roman Reigns are all in that match. Like it's going to be real interesting to
think if it's those three and Sami, right?
Yeah.
I think the PLE crowd's going to be cheering hard for Sami.
Yes, I do. So, Me too. But like that's the thing. Like Triple H shouldn't figure out and know, and like so get Sami out of there. But I mean, if you're gonna book Punk to win, you got to get Sami out of there before that happens.
He's got to avenge whoever threw Sami out, right?
Yes. Or like have some, or have KO. I don't know, not KO, but like another heel, like another heel do it. Get to Andrew. Said you. I wish he would just go away. Sometime this year, we're getting him and Cena again. And the summer of Punk should be just left alone. Let's not retread that. I mean, I agree with you there. I would not like redo the summer of Punk in any way. But they're in the Punk business. Like he's not going away anytime soon.
Where's Money in the Bank this year? Do we know?
I don't think we know yet. I would guess that we don't know, but maybe I'm wrong.
Looks like Milwaukee.
Oh,
Two
really?
nights.
Oh, that's right. They did announce that.
Yeah, so that's very close to Chicago. Cena Punk, Money in the Bank.
Punk. There you go.
I'm telling you right now.
What is that? That was 20.
Milwaukee's like an hour, right, from Chicago?
About? Yeah, a little over. So yeah, right up the road.
So that's essentially from a WWE fan perspective.
Yeah.
So
all right, let's one more topic, and then we're gonna put a bow on this show. Man, it's been a fun one. Britt Baker, Tyler, reports coming out of AEW this week early that she's from Wade Keller, PWTorch.com, that she is likely maybe done with AEW. Tony's not booking her. Everything that like that people surmised that was happening is happening. Bad reputation backstage, bad reputation in the locker room. That doesn't work for me, brother. Type, person to work with.
Yeah.
Not that good in the ring.
Serena D being like no one cares when she was walking out.
Yeah, right. Like just totally like crapping on your baby face. I remember like we talked about that. I bet if you go back into the archives and find the show that we did the night after, we brought that up and was like, that's not how you put over a baby face that you're supposed to be working with.
Hey, Britt is my female CM Punk on how much I like criticize them for being like a toxic force in the business. So
yeah. And now, it's like So what do you make of that? What do you make of that report? What do you make of that news coming out?
Well, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I think also Tony has smartened up on not letting people just walk and instantly go to WWE to make them stronger. Now, on that as well, I think Sean had a super chat about this that I agree with. That, like, I for one, like, I think WWE would be crazy to bring her into NXT. Even, like, to be like, hey, TNA, can you have a look? Can you have her and Tessa get in there and, like, boo both of these people? Like, maybe that's her course. I just don't like, I don't think she can't wrestle, right? I think that's well established. And, like, what does that character do in NXT? Like, you could do something there, but I don't think it's worth the headache of, like, if she's not on a pedestal in, like, the lead of the promotion. If she can work there, I think that proves, like, the culture is that much different in WWE, that they can get people in line way more than AEW can. I don't think that's the case for Britt. Also, she's like, she doesn't need to do this, right? And, like, I'm not saying she doesn't have passion, right? She got hurt, she rehabbed, she came back, all that stuff. But, like, the politicking, she might like too much, or doesn't like all that stuff behind the scene and expresses that in a different way. So that's part of, like, loving the business is eating poop sandwiches, and, like, waiting it out. Look at Sami Zayn. How much crap has he done?
Yes.
And in multiple promotions, in multiple jobs. And that's, like, a guy that you want on your team, whether it's wrestling or not wrestling. So,
and I just think that, like, you got to be able to recognize, like, what's going on in your company, like, there has to be some sort of self-analysis there where it's like what's a good example in WWE? Okay. In another women's division comp, like Bianca Belair right now, she was the main event of WrestleMania 37. She was in a big time match at WrestleMania 38. She had a big time match at WrestleMania 39. And now she's cooled off a little bit in favor of some other talent. Rhea Ripley is going to go up and do some things. Tiffany Stratton's going up and going to do some things. Like, you can't, like, unless there's only a handful of guys, women and guys, that can stay at the highest high level for the entirety of their career. Even Roman Reigns.
Look at Bayley right now.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, way different than what she was.
Way different. It just doesn't work that way. Things change. The crowds change, your reaction changes, your character changes, and then stuff around you changes. And you got to be able to recognize that. Like, if Bianca Belair was thrown a fit now because she's not in the main event anymore, it's like, you'll get another crack at it. You'll get another crack at it. Like, but you can't burn it to the ground just because of that. And I just think Britt Baker is there's not a recognition of, like, really, it's not. And I've always said this about Britt. Like, I think she's got there's a little bit of there's a star presence in her, because you have to have that type of, like, I'm the best, go with me. You have to have that in you, but you also have to have the counter to that, which is it's not. You have to be able to take a step back and recognize, okay, it's not my time or what have you. And she just never understood that. I don't think she understood, like, how to do good business in pro wrestling. Like, at any point, she wasn't very good in the ring. When she got over, it was because of her character. And then even then, she was a fun character because she was edgy and she was new and she was fresh. But, how many babyface, who did she put over? Like, who put her over? Like, she really wasn't this, like, crazy, had a tremendous run with the belt because nothing really happened when she was champion. Like, she couldn't get anything over. And I just think she totally, like, overplayed her hand at almost every turn, once she became a bit of a star.
Yeah. And it just makes sense of her run. Like, when she was on top, there'd be, like, 2 weeks where you don't even see her.
Yeah.
I was like, what is, like, is that something that didn't, I'd like that more fleshed out before, we make rash calls here. But it makes more sense that, like, it didn't work for her brother. And so Tony was like, all right, well, then I guess you're not on the show tonight,
Yeah.
I'm curious what happened there. That was the start of it, because it was always weird that she was easily the number one female star in the company, and you'd see her twice a month. Very strange. And usually like a backstage segment that was pre-taped. Yeah. So she was like on Young Bucks time.
Well, yeah, and then when she was coming up though, when she was figuring out this heel gimmick and she was injured, she was on TV all the time, just cutting promos, like just, you know. But then it's when she came back that started to happen. Zach in our super chat here, thank you, Zach, says the AEW women's division passed her by. WWE already has someone who's more promo than ring skill. Her name is Liv Morgan. They don't need Britt. I'd agree with that. And I don't think it's just because her promo is better than her ring skill. It's just more headache than
I can't think of a promotion. I don't even think TNA would benefit, honestly.
No.
That's probably my bias coming in there. Like, she would be a star presence, but if they're willing to put Tessa in there, anything's possible. But anything like Stardom, GCW, I don't think
GCW. I can see her doing GCW stuff, but that's not that's not a step forward or sideways.
Yeah, I don't think she would. She'd be like, I'll just be a dentist, thank you. When she's seeing what those paydays are.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and with Tessa, it's like, obviously there's a tremendous amount of negative baggage there, but you put her in the ring, she's really freaking good. Britt doesn't have that. Britt does not have that type of talent in her. So that's even a little bit different. That game's different. All right, guys. Thank you. Fun show. Really fun. Again, we will be back here live on Thursday or Friday. Tyler and I will let you know. Schedules are getting a little wonky, so we will figure that out and we will make an announcement. But we'll be here for show number 2 right here on the One True Sport YouTube channel. So thank you all for joining. Thank you, Zach, for our super chat. Thank you, Sean, and thank you, Andrew, and thank you, Tracy, too. She's our other premium gold member for Brass Ring Media. Could not do this and operate without our members and without our super chatters and just without all of you listeners. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate it. Head over to YouTube, subscribe to the Brass Ring Media YouTube channel, check us out on Substack, and most of all, head over to Patreon and check out those membership options. Patreon.com/Brass Ring Media. That's where all the perks, that's where all the fun stuff is. Check it out. It's only $4 a month. I think you'll be very, very happy that you did. Tyler, any final words?
I don't think so. I think I'm good. Excited for the Rumble, more so than I usually am. Usually I'm kind of geeked, but then you kind of do the realization of it's 2 or 3 people. And then I watch old ones and I'm like, oh, these all kind of suck. I do have faith that this one's actually going to be pretty good. The men's one. And the women's will have tons of surprises. I think that it'll be very gimmicky, but that should be fun too. So
if you're giving the benefit of the doubt, maybe it'll the story of that match will be different than the one that they're trying to tell.
Does Jordan Grace come in and not to spoil next week, but she come in and just win the whole thing? Because if any year, that's the year to do it. This is the year to do it. So
that would be yes. So all that's on the table. We're going to preview Saturday night's main event later this week. We'll also talk Dynamite. Next week, we'll be Royal Rumble heavy. So you guys have all that to look forward to. Thank you so much for joining the show. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday night, and we'll talk to you guys real soon. See ya.